The stories that you are about to hear are those of Black theater artists. Their names will remain anonymous as they are being forced to navigate the inherent racism in both our country and the theatrical industry at large. I have called upon allies to take on the emotional labor of sharing these stories aloud, unrehearsed, and in one take. This is not a moment of dramatized performative allyship. This is a moment of discomfort, as the reality of what we as Black people endure is registered in real time by a hopeful many whose privilege has shielded them from our existence within this community.
During a costume fitting for a national tour, the head of wardrobe said to my face that he would have to rethink some of my costumes because of my, quote, big Black girl booty, end quote.
I was playing the role of Benny in a regional production of In the Heights, and we were working on fight choreography for the club scene. The fight director walks up to multiple people in the cast, offering different insults one might use to taunt someone in a fight. Pretty much everyone he addressed got called a punk. However, when it came time for him to approach me, his exact words were, "What are you gonna do, Black boy?" He said it loud and clear, and then walked off and continued demonstrating the rest of the fight choreo.
Coming up as a young artist, the first piece I learned was Macbeth's Tomorrow and Tomorrow and Tomorrow soliloquy. It was given to me by my director at an incredible youth program during our Shakespeare portion of learning. I didn't understand then why she'd put Shakespeare in my hands at such a young age. After that day, I took the same monologue to another program and was told that I didn't need to worry about doing Shakespeare, that I should stick to pieces I'd be in, like Fences and Raisin in the Sun.
I was called a nice little colored boy by one of the sponsors of the theater after doing a show. When I told one of the board members what happened, they proceeded to tell me how that sponsor is a large donor to the theater, so just play nice.
In 2011, I was working at a regional theater in Massachusetts. I was the only Black person in the cast. The role I was cast in required me to be in drag. In the dressing room, one of my castmates insisted on calling me names like Shanae and Shaquita. I chose not to respond. My silence was eventually questioned. I said that I didn't find it funny, and I was told to relax, that it was just a joke.
During a touching moment in the Broadway national tour of Aladdin, where the genie, a Black man, is on stage expressing his deep desire to be free, the white associate director gave the note to the actor that his line reading was a little too Chicken George. As in Chicken George from Roots, the limited series about slavery in the U.S.
I was in a workshop for an off-Broadway bound musical. The first day of rehearsal was treated like any normal first day of school, with no sensitivity training, no talk whatsoever from the creative team. The white cast members began singing the N-word during many of the songs. While they're supposed to be singing the song and singing the N-word, there was no talk about it. No semblance of a safe space was made for that creative environment. So much so that one of those white cast members posted themselves singing the N-word on their Instagram story to their close friends.
I was on the national tour of Wizard of Oz, and while in Boston, there was an open call for Dirty Dancing happening. Our tour was almost over, so myself and some castmates decided to attend the audition. After being the only one to receive a call back, my castmates let me know to my face that they probably just needed to fill the black track.
I got cast in a regional production of The Wizard of Oz at a theater in South Jersey. On the first day of school, I quickly realized I was the only Black actor in the show. No biggie, I was used to being the token. I was assigned the non-speaking role of Nico, the Wicked Witch's head monkey. Yes, the only Black person as the monkey. I swallowed my pride, as I'd been conditioned to do, and funneled my emotions into making it an acting challenge. The first thing my parents said to me after seeing the show was, "Why was my child, the only Black one, the monkey?"
I was working at an off-Broadway theater in NYC and was caught in traffic on the train. I texted the stage manager and told her I was going to be late, but only by a few minutes. I got an okay that everything was fine and thank you for communicating. I get to the theater and walk into the dressing room, and the dance captain says to me aloud, "Hey, nice of you to join us. You can't be black and late."
I worked for a theater company one summer. When I auditioned, they told me I was being considered for a principal contract. When I got the offer, it was for actor/tech, which meant less pay for more manual labor. I was featured ensemble in one show and a principal in the other. When I wasn't in rehearsals with the other principals, I was forced to do scene shop work. So I was essentially doing double duty. I was the only actor playing a principal role who had to do this. All other principal actors had principal contracts. I was the only one with a lower contract. I was also the only black one. In a rehearsal for Joseph and the Amazing Technicolor Dreamcoat at a theater in Fort Worth, Texas, the director approached us to give us a bit of choreography. The director-choreographer begins, "So right here we have, 'Could you use a slave?' And on those exact words, 'Could you use a slave?' he began to appropriate some hip-hop dance moves. I looked at him in complete awe and disbelief at the choreography, and we locked eyes. The entire group was uncomfortable with the moment, and I could tell that I, the black man standing with them in that moment, was not on board with what was asked of us. I thought he grasped the discomfort based upon my reaction and the energy shift from everyone. He looked back at me after a moment of silence and said, "Here, I'll give it to you again," and repeated the chant, "Could you use a slave?" with the appropriated dance moves.
In a note session with the maintenance director of my show, he proceeded to tell my black co-star and myself that our performance, especially in a moment of undirected improvisation, was a little too urban.
I was playing Curly at this summer stock. I was told multiple times it was interesting that I was playing that role. No reason was given as to why it was interesting, just that it was. I was then told that actually black people were around during those days to help out around the town, so it's not all that weird that you're playing the lead.
I was in the green room and overheard a white castmate making a pretty racially problematic statement. I said to her, "Is this something we should really say?" She then responded, "Oh, come on, I'm not racist. Do you know how many black men I've been with?"
I was in a final tech rehearsal for a show. Prior to this, during regular rehearsals, I had spoken with our company manager about a moment of cultural appropriation that made me feel extremely uncomfortable. After reporting the incident, I was immediately treated differently, coldly, by the director-choreographer, associate choreographer, music director, and the artistic director of the theater, all white men. There were 4 features in this show. I was one of them. The other 3 were white men. In a note session during our final tech rehearsal, the director called out every actor with a feature by name except for me and said, "You all are doing such incredible work on your features." The next night after our first preview, the director came to me outside my dressing room and said, "Make sure you are really riffing a lot in your feature. The audience really eats that up."
I had injured myself during a lift in which another actor climbed on top of my back and stood for the button of a song. I was out of the show for 3 weeks. After 3 weeks, I had a doctor's note saying that I could go back into the show, but I just could not hold the weight of someone on my back, so the lift would have to be cut or altered. Upon telling this to our stage and company management, I was informed that was not a possibility, and that if I could not do the lift, I could not do my job, and I would have to take a leave of absence. An emergency situation arose, and there was going to be a triple split track. I reached out to the stage management team and said that I could come in to do the show so there wouldn't have to be a triple split track, but we would just have to change the lift per my doctor's orders. They said no and went ahead with the triple split. The lift, in which I was told could not be taken out, and if I couldn't do it, I would have to take a leave and was being executed that night by only white company members, was cut for that evening's performance.
In a music rehearsal, our music supervisor gave us, a cast of majority people of color, the following note. Don't go into gangsta thug voice.
While in rehearsal for a play, my white director gives me a line adjustment. Can you do it blacker?
In 2015, I was hired alongside a talented group of young artists to perform for a white millionaire's birthday celebration. The party's theme was African Safari, because the family wanted to, in some way, relive their recent trip to Africa. After days of rehearsal, it was the night of the gig, and towards the end of the set, we began performing Boogie Wonderland. In the middle of the choreography, I turned to see a white couple had arrived in blackface. A full appropriated getup. Black smeared all over their faces, smiling and waving to the other party guests. I saw the music director see it, and after he didn't stop the music, I finished the number in a haze.